All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is March 26, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyberland. Thank you for following, liking, and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Thank you to all my paying subscribers. You guys help keep the lights on. I don't take that for granted. I try to provide actionable, profitable content every day. I really love that you guys chose me to lead you in your day trading journey. Thank you so much. All right. Special shout out John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy Sarah Roasted, Ed Carter, Rick Sadler, everybody for sharing the BYOB content out there on the World Wide Web, helping get the good word out there to the world. They all need some help. All right, let's take a peek at what happened. How I captured 2,500 with a 58K account, utilizing only 5,800. Let's take a look at the markets. Okay, so to begin the day, let's start with the beginning of the day. Okay, so this was up there at the beginning of the day. I plan to wait, and trade the SPY 10-minute downtrend down to target 1, which is a gap fill. That's 648.50, and then possibly to target 2, 645. Okay, and I said 650 may reject the 10-minute downtrend as it has done in the pre-market. Let me just say 650 is a big fat hole round number. If they come into it hard and fast, there's a good chance it bounces. All right, but if they come in and they creep in there slow, they can navigate their way through it. All right, so let's take a look at the market this morning and see what happened. Move this out of the way. All right, and slide this over, push this down. Don't need it yet. And let's go look at it on the 10-minute chart, because that's what we were going to trade. All right, so the 10-minute came in. We had kind of in the pre-market, you had kind of like a quasi 10-minute downtrend with kind of like a triple bottom here. So then from there, it started to drift higher. And you can see we had the beginnings of a 10-minute uptrend, which really gave you this I don't know, like a stop, run the stops right here. Test that low one more time, and then they shot up here. And then they produced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles. Okay, if they can't give you the 7th one, which they couldn't, and then they roll over. See what happened? So 6 is my number. All right. All right. Anything past 6 is a keeper. All right. If they can't keep it past 6, then there's a good chance we're rolling over to the downside. Okay. Still haven't got my 10-minute downtrend. Remember, that's what I'm waiting for. All right, and now we start to cross VWAP. We break this rubber band action right through here, kind of melt. And then right here we have the red erases green right underneath 650.80. Okay, so you could have taken this right here if you wanted to. I did, because I was preparing for it. All right, or you could have taken it right here, where I announced in the room, red erases green underneath 650.80 right there, okay? And you could have traded that all the way down to, well, you can see, got all the way down to 644.56. And if you remember, the plan this morning was to get it to come down to 648.50 and then 645, okay? So you can see we hit target 1, we hit target 2 right there, okay? So I like it, all right, when the 10-minute chart, you got the 8 EMA and then the VWAP line. You see how the mouth between the 8 EMA and the VWAP line keeps opening wider and wider and wider and wider. That's called opportunity right there. You should take a picture of that if you don't have one. This is right here what you want to look for, okay? Opportunity. This is exactly what opportunity looks like right there. Okay? And if you maintain your discipline, you're looking for that 10-minute downtrend. And there you go. You got that 10-minute downtrend. Nice reward into the close right there. Okay? So we had the SPY game plan. What is going on here? What the heck is that? Anybody know what's going on? Anybody? Another tweet? Somebody take the phone away from that guy. All right, so anyways, there you go. And we had the game plan this morning. If you were with me earlier this morning. Okay, so here's the SPY game plan earlier this morning. Okay, and I said red erases green entry for my day right underneath 645.75. Okay, so 654.75. Okay, so you can see we got up to it, and then we rolled over right there, right on the red line, and we came all the way down. All right, so game plan works. All right, then I got a QQQ game plan, and then one of our members, John, he's got a QQQ game plan. All right, so here's my QQQ game plan. Okay, red erases green underneath. You see, we were already underneath, and we had the downtrend. All we were looking for was that 10-minute downtrend, and of course, here it is. The bears crushed the price all the way down. Okay, so you got a QQQ. Now I'm going to show you John's game plan because he comes in every day and he shares his game plan. So here's QQQ. You can see these are the candles right here. They're hard to see a little bit, but they're there. Okay. So he's saying buy above, bearish below, well, bullish above, bearish below, and then sell below 580.24. Okay, now you can see here's what he did today. All right, because okay, so here's the price action candles. Remember, it was sell below 580.24. Okay. So bullish above is pivot. Okay, that was like 582. And here you go. You got that downtrend. So he's on a, looks like he's probably on a 15-minute chart or a 10-minute. I can't tell right off the bat. I know it's up here somewhere. 15-minute. Yep. See that 15-minute downtrend right there. Yep. Thanks, John. So he's got that 15-minute. You can see the mouth of that 15-minute. You see the whatever his red line is and the green line, probably the 3 and the 8. All right, I'm assuming, but he might choose different numbers. And you can see the mouth of that stays open the whole time. Okay, so there's a reason like I don't choose the 2-minute chart, because the 2-minute downtrend will run for a little while and then it will close out. So I like the 10-minute, and look at John likes the 15. See how that 15 stays open almost from the moment it crosses his pivot to the end of the day. Not even almost, it does stay open. So there's money right there, okay? So there's money right there with his chart. That's a picture of money right there. That's a picture of opportunity. And you can see, here's his VWAP line. There's the 8 EMA. I'm supposing that's the 8 EMA. All right, and see how the mouth of the 8 EMA begins to grow wider, wider, and wider. Look at that. It's just beautiful. That's the picture of money. That's a picture of opportunity right there. You should take a picture of it if you don't already have one. You should stop the video, snap a photo, because that right there is a picture of money. Okay, so there it is right there. So that was traded today, QQQ and SPY. Thank you, John, for providing the picture of money. All right, awesome. He uses the 3 EMA and the 9 EMA. Thank you, John. All right, so great work there on the QQQ. You can see here's the 8. I use the 8. He uses the 9, but there's the VWAP right there. All right, so picture of money. Works almost every time. You still have to follow rules. You still have to follow discipline. All right, so let's go back. All right, you can see it was an easy day. You had the guidance. It was easy to make money when the guidance worked and everything worked out perfect. All right, so let's go take a look at QQQ on the 10-minute chart. And you can see into the close, we got the mouth of the 3 and the 8 are still open. So 10-minute downtrend into the close on the QQQ. On the 2-hour chart, all right, you can see the 3 EMA, see the sticks, and the 3 plotting underneath the falling 8. I'm going to go to a different one. Here we are. So we got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. See how the 3 in the yellow line, the 3 is pointed down, slightly down, and then the 8's pointed down. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily candle, lower high, lower low, closing underneath, bearish trap underneath, right here, the 17 EMA underneath, all-time high anchored VWAP underneath, this uptrend line, and that lasts for a couple weeks, actually a couple months. Okay, right there underneath the uptrend line. Guess what? We're still in the upper third, all right, of the quad lines. So if I pan way out, here's April. That's the origin of our rally in our move. We're still in the bull flag up here. So we're in the upper third, so we're still bullish, but no doubt about it, we're making lower highs and lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. Okay, on the weekly chart, you can see here we've got a low. Well, we made a lower low, so we're in a weekly downtrend. Still bullish because we're in the upper third, but weekly is in a downtrend. So now, like before, we had the daily was in a downtrend, but the weekly and the monthly were not. Now we've got the daily, the weekly, the 2-hour, and the 10-minute all in a downtrend right now. Okay, so now we got the weeklies in a downtrend. Now we go to the monthly, right? You can see right here on the monthly chart, there's the April origin. Price goes up over to the right. Still bullish. Now we have not made any lower lows, so we're still in an uptrend on the monthly chart, okay? So weekly and daily, 2-hour and 10-minute, all in downtrends. Let's take a look at SPY. All right, for SPY, let's start with the 10-minute. Okay, 10-minute coming into the close. All right, that's a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. You can see the 3 and the sticks plotting underneath the falling 8, plotting underneath the falling 17, plotting underneath the falling VWAP. Okay, so there's 10-minute chart. 2-hour chart. You can see the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8 and the VWAP. Got a 2-hour downtrend. You can see the mouth. You can see daylight in there between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Daily chart. Okay, you got a lower high, a lower low, and we're in a downtrend. So we're closed underneath the downtrend line. All right, closed underneath the bearish gap right here, or the bearish trap underneath the falling 17. Okay, and we're down here, still in quadrant 4, so we're still bullish, but we're in a downtrend. Okay, still bullish, but in a downtrend right here because we're making lower highs and lower lows. Weekly chart. All right, still bearish, still bullish up here in the upper third, but we've made some lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. Monthly chart. Okay, still bullish, but in a downtrend. So you've got the weekly still bullish, all right, but in a downtrend. The monthly chart is still bullish, but in an uptrend. Daily chart still bullish, but in a downtrend because we're making lower lows and lower highs below the 17. 2-hour, all right, still bullish, but we're in a downtrend. Now, if we kind of look at it from the perspective of the all-time high, all right, and not from the April low, you can see we're down here in quadrant 1. That would be bearish. all right, and in a downtrend right now on the smaller time frame. Okay, so there's SPY and QQQ. Let's take a look at some of the other products. So we'll start off with the daily chart, and we'll start off with Diamond Dow. All right, so here's Diamond Dow making a lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the falling 17, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, still in the upper third, closed up here above the 33, so it's still bullish, but obviously still in a downtrend. They have not made any higher highs. IWM, all right, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap. Under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, still up here in quadrant 4, bottom of quadrant 4. Here's the origin of our move back here, April. Okay, so we're still bullish and in an uptrend, all right, because we got down here, you can see we're still in the upper third, okay, but we got lower highs and lower lows, so we're still in a downtrend. All right, so there's IWM. Thanks, Alan. I'll read that in a second. I can't read it right now, but IWMs. Take a look at Stinker. Stinker on the daily chart puts in a lower high, a lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the falling 17. Now, let me pan out here so you can see a complete view of Stinker. Okay, so this is the all-time low. This is the all-time high. We are in the lower third. That's bearish. Okay? You can see a high. There's obviously a lower high. You can see a low. There's obviously a lower low. So we're in a downtrend, so we're bearish and in a downtrend. Notice we're closing under the 50-yard line, our midfield. Okay, I would say this is where the bulls have control, on this side of the 50-yard line, and on this side the bears have control. So the bears gaining more and more control over this day by day. We are under the all-time high anchored VWAP. We are bearish and in a downtrend. So there's FNGU. That's Stinker. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Okay, so silver lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. Okay, see the trap right there. Closing under the 17, falling 17, closing under the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Okay, so we're bearish. We're actually neutral, all right, because we're not in the upper third, not in the lower third, neutral, and in a downtrend, neutral, downtrend. Take a look at gold. Okay, gold still hanging on to the upper third, okay? So it's still bullish, but it's making, you got a low here, a low there. We're making lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. Okay, so it's bullish, but in a downtrend. We are under the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a pink line. Okay, we're under quadrant 4. We're hanging out in the top of quadrant 3, just barely hanging on to that bullish stature right there. But we're in a downtrend because we're making lower highs and lower lows. So there's gold on the daily chart. Okay, I'll zoom out so you can see the origin of this move. It actually starts back here in 2022 up there. Let's take a look at oil and gas. Let's take a look at USO. USO got a higher low and a higher high. We closed over a bullish cross. See the 3 crosses back up over the ADMA. Over a bullish cross. We're closing over this rising 17. That's the green dots. We're up here in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. Okay, anything in the upper third, that's bullish. That's bullish up there. Okay, and we're still in an uptrend. We haven't made any lower lows. You can see this pink line right here. That is the 4-year high anchored VWAP. That was the result of our post-COVID rally right there. And we have been a long time since we've been separated from that 4-year high anchored VWAP. Okay, so there's USO on the daily chart. Okay, You can see it's bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG, here's a 1 year look at UNG. Of course, you can see that's the 1 year, 12-month high right there. You can see they struggled to print candles over the 1 year high anchored VWAP. See, they get up and they give it up. They get up and they give it up, okay? So what we got today is, you can see clearly from the quad lines, this is the all-time low right there. Okay, we're not in the upper third, so we're not bullish. We're in the lower third, so we're bearish down here. We're under the 12-month high anchored VWAP. In the middle of quadrant 1, all right, and I got to zoom in to see what we got. Higher low, higher high, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. There's a low. We made a lower low, so we're still in a downtrend. So we're bearish and in a downtrend on UNGs. Take a look at technicals, T2101. Okay, so market dipped, participation dipped. All right, that's a bullish sign, really, if everybody's not piling on when the market has a pullback. Okay, that's kind of a bullish sign for me, anyways. So bullish sign today on T2101. Surprise, surprise. It is a surprise for me. And look at this. We made an appearance up here in the buy zone. I got to tell you, we got up there first thing. It looks like after that, we spent our way moving down all day. And we ended up the day in the seller's chop zone. Again, look at the last 20 to 10 days here. You can see the majority of the price action is below this 50-yard line right here. That's the midpoint. The majority of it, and any price action in the upper part is short-lived. See how short-lived it is? It only lasts a day, and then they're back underneath again. Only lasts half a day, and they're back underneath. Another one, half a day, and then they're back underneath, okay? Only for a micro minute, okay? There's a couple cups of coffee, and then they're back down. Okay, there's a beer, and then they're back down under here. Okay, this one spent half a day up there, and then back down underneath. Okay, you can see the majority of the time, so that's bearish. We are making higher lows, but we're still not able to maintain and hold structure, okay, above the 50-yard line, showing me bears still operating, still present and accounted for, still in control. Let's take a look at T2123. Okay, we are under the falling 200 SMA. If I was a bear, that's exactly where I'd want to be. Okay, so that would be bearish. You can see a low over here. You can see, obviously, lower lows or equal lows right through there. So that is a downtrend right there. And you can see if I pan back, this is 15 minute. And from the all-time high right up here, if I slap some quad lines in there, okay, that's the all-time high right there. We're down here in the bottom of quadrant 1. So that's bearish and in a downtrend. No uptrend yet. Okay, and under the falling 200 SMA. Take that off. Let's go look at the 3-bar chart. All right, let me show you the whole picture here. That was an all-time high for 2024 right there. Okay, this was a pullback to our April low. All right, and then from April, remember, price rallied. Okay, so we were at a big rally in April. Well, we pulled back and made a new all-time high up here. Okay, then we had a 3-month pullback, made a higher low, ripped and made another new all-time high right up here. Okay, you can see price is under the rising 200 SMA. Not my place to be unless I want to be a bear. Currently, kind of bearish. All right, so T2123, that would be bearish right there. We are still bullish because we're in the upper third. All right, but recognize right now, currently, right now, bears are having a field day, all right? They're having a party. They're enjoying this because they have control right now. Okay, so you can see price action in the upper third. So that's bullish, but the bears obviously have control. Okay, you can see a low. You can see a series of lower lows and then a downtrend on T2123. Stinker on the 15. All right, we got a bearish gap down, never filled by the bulls, showing me weakness on the bulls' part. We have lows over here, and we have a series of lower lows over here. So we are under the falling 200 SMA on the 15-minute chart. So we are bearish down here underneath the falling 200 SMA. All right, and you can see that would be the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're well underneath that. And if I put the quad lines in here, all right, back up to near where the all-time high is, you can see currently we're at the very bottom of quadrant 1. Okay, that's bearish, and you already know we're in a downtrend right here. Okay, that's it for me. I'll take a look at, you want to see what we did for today. Okay, so here's our stats for today, my stats for today. Okay, so let's take a peek at some of those. Let's start with the puts right here. Turn the trading on. It's on. Let's go over to that one right there. Go to the 10-minute chart. All right, so if this is your first time seeing this, if it's a blue dot, it's a purchase. If it's a red dot, it's a sell. So you can see I bought puts and sold them. See how it's elevated higher. Then I bought puts and sold them higher to capture $535. Okay? And the next one. Okay, you can see I bought puts and sold them higher. You can see I bought puts and sold them higher to capture $1,236. Okay, $866. Okay, so I had some puts, obviously sold them, all right, for profit. I reloaded, and I sold them for more than what I purchased them for to capture $866. All right, $52 in puts here. You can see I bought puts and sold into weakness. Actually, it was the option strength, but when price action has weakness, the puts have strength and they go up. So I sold into strength right there. Okay, 648 puts. You can see I purchased and sold into strength. That would be the option strength up here. I purchased and sold into option strength, captures 775. 359 right here. More puts. Sold into strength, reloaded, sold into strength, reloaded, sold into strength, captured 359. On these calls, this was a call spread, so I closed out the call spread to capture 252 on the call spread. And then I lost on these puts here. I had sold them against another position. And what happened was I got burned. I had to cover, I had to buy to cover higher than what I sold them for. So I lost 1,200 right there. But all in all, I made close to 27 for the day. Yep, about 27, close to 28, not quite, but close to 28 right there. Okay, so there's price action for the day on SPY, QQQ, in the market, and that's how we did today. All right, that's it. Okay, got a 10-minute downtrend. Whenever I trade this, okay, I look down here. All right, I got something I want to show everybody. Okay, because this is kind of cool. All right, and it's going to be right here. I call it nets. All right, trading with nets. All right, and it's really cool. And we're going to wrap this up and call it a day. If I can get it to juice up here, got a little slowness going on in the computer. Here it is. All right, so this is what I do. Okay, I've got a 5-minute downtrend. I look here. If my 5-minute downtrend or my 10-minute downtrend is intact, okay, in other words, I want to see daylight between my 3 and my 8. Okay, and I've got puts. Obviously, you can see right here, I've got the 648 puts right there. SPY. All right, so I fan out a grid of sell orders. You can see I made a position right here, capturing the lows. All right, up here, buying a position of puts, and then I sell into strength. See how I sell into strength, and I put this net up. Now, I'm not really selling, but I'm putting out my orders, and you will see price runs in to my orders. And if you want to see what that one did, that was the 648 puts, and I'll give you a more complete view right here. Okay, that was the 648 put. Okay, so you can see, and I'll put this on a 3-minute chart, and I'm going to spread this way out so you can get a complete view of what's going on. Okay, so I buy the puts, sell into strength, reload, sell into strength. The red dots equal sells. Okay, as long as my 10-minute or my 5-minute downtrend is still intact, I continue to spread out my nets like that. And I captured $775 just on that position for the 648 puts right there. You can see I have other products as well that I continue to trade. All right, that's it for me, traders. Let me read what Alan wrote or put. Thank you, Alan. Okay, President Trump on social media, as per Iranian government request, please let this statement serve to represent that I am pausing the period of energy plant destruction by 10 days till Monday, April 6th at 8 p.m. All right, well, that would be good news, all right, especially for the Iranian people. I mean, can you imagine you're in a war zone and now everybody shut off the power? Okay, so that would be good, all right. The bad news is they'll probably continue to make more weapons to combat the forces of good. I'm going to call them the forces of good, supposedly the forces of good, or, well, American troops. Okay, so it's good and it's bad. All right, we'll see what happens. Yep. So they're going to pause it for 10 days. There was a 48-hour deadline on that, and it's no longer. Now it's going to be a 10-day extension. All right, traders, that's it for me. Oh, wait, Robert said something. Robert says, John, on those sell orders, you're presetting orders, specific prices to sell to see specific price levels. No, I just fan them out to take profit. But remember, I'm willing to reload it if they dip. See how, like, I just fan them out? I'm not looking for price levels. I'm looking for a target. I'm still looking for, remember, my target for the day was like 648.50, right? 648.50. Okay, so I'm looking to sell into that. So I'm going to continue to reload until I get to my target as long as my 10-minute downtrend is still intact. So anytime the option candle pulls back, sometimes price will continue to drop, but the option candle will pull back, giving you opportunity to reload. You can see all the dips in here that were not on the price chart. See these dips right here, giving you opportunity to reload into that. Now, there's a reason I didn't reload up here, because I only have so much capital to work with. So if I reload a bunch at 169, it's going to tie up quite a bit of my capital. So the sweet spot for me is 30 cents on up to $1.20. Any more than that, I'd just rather just sell the rest of them off and reload with a better strike. All right, because I don't like to mess around with them when they're way up here. And plus, when they get more expensive, believe me, they open up the bid and the ask spread. All right, and they're very good at it. Just opening up the bid and the ask spread, and I like it when it's a really tight spread, like a penny or 2 pennies. No more than, I really don't like more than 2 pennies. Okay, but so for that reason, you can see I no longer had interest in this product, even though it continued to ramp higher. I went off to another product that was cheaper, and I could have more control over that. Okay, so no, not looking for price levels. I'm just looking to sell into strength. So every time price dips, I want to farm some orders out and let them run into my net. I hope that helps you. No. I'm not setting alerts at all. I'm not setting alerts. I'm just all I'm doing is watching my 10-minute downtrend. Okay, this is all I do. Is my 10-minute downtrend intact? Okay, in other words, is the 3 and the candlesticks plotting underneath the falling 8, and is the mouth of the ADMA and the VWAP getting bigger and bigger, which it is. My 10-minute downtrend, notice they're both pointed down. So is my 10-minute downtrend intact? Yes. Okay, so then I go to my option and I start in here. I start farming out sell orders up there. So as price dips, the option value increases, so I'm selling into strength. And I'm willing to reload as long as that 10-minute downtrend continues to stay open and intact. I will reload. Now, I didn't reload here because, remember I said, I don't like them when they're up around $1.50. It uses up too much of my capital. I like them. The sweet spot is 30 cents to $1.20, right there. Well, you might want to give it a little bit more room, because you're one with the high volatility. The 1 DTEs are going to cost you a little more. I mean, you can try it, but I would give myself a little bit more room, like closer to 30 cents on up to maybe $1.50, $1.60. All right. Yeah. Strikes not too far out of the money, but out of the money in that range. You're going to find that anything that's $30 cents is obviously out of the money. All right. As you get closer to $1 and $2 on the 1 DTEs, you'll get closer to at the money. But at the beginning of the day, those at the money 1 DTEs will wind up probably being close to $3 and $4 each. All right. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah. So, right. Yeah. So maybe, right. $2 to $3. Yeah. Remember, they decay fast. Okay. So make sure you got the momentum. Today we had nice momentum carrying price down like that on that 45-degree. See that slope? See, if you don't get momentum or price just moves to the side, they just decay. You got to have that momentum. And it makes it hard when all they do is just decay all day long. If you don't have enough slope, sometimes the slope is not steep enough to overcome the decay. All right? And you'll find that oftentimes as well. All right? And then if you get days like that, you'll wish you got a 5 DTE or a 7 DTE option instead, because you're recognizing that price just is not moving enough to keep up with the theta decay. Yeah. So that's, so try to look for those Friday options on the multiple of 5. You'll get more open interest on those. It's hard to on those ones and zeros. You need that slope like that. Otherwise, the theta decay even overcomes, sometimes is faster than the price movement. So you got to have that rapid. And I look to this PPO right here. You can see the PPO was under 0.05, 0.06. See how it's under 0.06? That can sometimes indicate momentum right through there. And I think there's another one that also measures momentum, but I like it when these candles continue to print on the 10-minute chart underneath the 9 EMA, okay? See, like that continued momentum right there. PPO under what? Yeah, I like the PPO under 0.06. See 0.06 over there to the right? I'll go over here. Okay, so 0.06 or lower. And then when it's bullish, I want it 0.06 or higher. All right, that's that momentum that you need to overcome the theta decay. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. You'll get little micro pockets of, skimming or scalping $10, $20. But other than that, you don't get these really nice moves where you capture, hundreds of dollars at a time. 0.06. Yep. Over 0.06 for bullish, under 0.06 for bearish. Yep. And on the 10-minute chart, the 10 or the 15. See, the 15 is always my favorite. See how these continue all day long underneath the 9 EMA. 0.06 or better. Okay? Like that. Beautiful. Just like that. Okay? All right, traders, that's it for me. I will see you all tomorrow morning. OPEX Friday. We'll see what they got in store for us. See if they're going to go for max pain or what they're going to do, if they're going to drive it lower. All right, traders, take care. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning.